Shalom to everyone. Today's information I'm going to get into is some information that was sent to me, and they want my uh, information on the calendar again. Um, some inquiries and some calculations on how did I come up with the different years. And I said I wasn't going to get into this again, but based on request, I thought I would get into it again. Based on, I can't just ignore people. So this is not based on me. I just want to get into it to help others understand a little clearly. Now, before I really get into it, this information is really something that's new to a few of us. All right, but it's a good thing. A lot of people think, well, it can cause some issues. No, it's not going to cause any issues, but I just need people to really be humble since it's new from the beginning. I mean, I heard that, uh, it seemed like it's just one particular group that came up with this information, but it's not. Actually, it was a sister about 2 years ago that seen a conflict with the calendar because we were following the moon. I always knew it was something wrong, but like I said, I didn't really know at that time. And then, when the brothers start teaching about the Enoch calendar, I felt relief. So it's not to, say they're incorrect, in totality, but they do have there's some error in the calculations, but it's okay. But it's like I said, this information is new. Um, so, like I said, if I would have listened to the sister years ago, about 2 years ago, she had the information. I'm not sure where she got it from, but you know, she was on point then. All right, but I want to pay respect to her. Now, what I want to do is, because there were some issues about the equal parts night and day. Um, what we have to realize is, and let's say that this government thing, because I keep hearing about this U.S. Naval Observatory time, which is a government time date information, which is cool. You want to use that, you want to go to the government and get your time, fine with me. But let's say it is right. Okay, let's say this information is right, which is they believe that Saturday is the 15th, Sabbath sundown is the Friday, which is the 14th. Sabbath sundown starts Friday, right? Which you go into the 15th day. That day you get equal parts night and equal parts day. Fine. Which means that's 16th, which is Sunday, is the first day of the year. Fine. Let's say if that's correct, right? Which is based on the Enoch calendar, because Enoch calendar never changes. I'm gonna say that very clear again. It never changes, right? Okay. Now, what was the equal parts night and day for last year under your U.S. Naval Observatory time? What day was that? That's the question I would like to ask. Because the coordinates and all that to put it in is so much work. Okay? Under this government calendar here, this government time thing, it's like it's almost difficult, because what was debunked was the time and date.com calendar is wrong. So let's say if it's wrong and you have this government observatory naval time thing here, and let's say that's right, which means you're going to get equal parts day and night every year, the same time, if it's correct. Because I've heard this too, where it don't matter what the Gregorian is doing. This is verbatim. It don't matter what the Gregorian is doing. So if it don't matter what the Gregorian calendar is doing, what are you going to do, or what you're going to teach when the Sabbath falls on the 12th? That's my question. Will you get equal parts night and day on that 12th Because if you keep going on and on, eventually the moon calendar will put the Sabbath on the 12th, or the Sabbath on the 10th, or the 19th. So the thing is, if it never changes, if this is gonna be equal parts of day and night, and we know that that's gonna happen every 14th or 15th day according to the Naval Government Observatory calendar here, that means it should never change throughout the years. If it don't matter what the Gregorian calendar is doing, because that's what I heard. If it don't matter what the Gregorian calendar is doing. So how can you use the Gregorian calendar to say what Sabbath day is what? Because it's going to keep changing on you. And I understand, that it's hard to get away from these calendars embedded in our heads. So we're going to believe that their 15th is a Sabbath. Their 16th day is a Sunday. Okay, let's just say it is. But I'm just waiting for next year. Matter of fact, what happened last year? I was told in an email, yes, you're correct, that last year the 17th was the first day of the year. So how can that change now? How can that change now? And these are the people that follow the brothers that came up with this. And like I said, they put out the teaching. It was perfect. So it's like I don't have any issue with that. But what I have an issue is when I get emails from these guys saying, you're trying to get where we already been. You're wasting your time trying to get where we already been. When I hear certain things like that, there's an issue. There's an arrogant, egotistical issue there, and it don't mesh right with my spirit. Like I said, this teaching is not new to a sister that brought this out about 2 years ago. She already seen the conflict, so I ain't gonna even go there. But anyway, back to this, because this is considered kind of new. 2013, we kind of figured out this stuff now. And like I said, I'm an analytic. I'm going to look into it to make sure it's correct. Like I said, the teaching is 100% correct. Everybody understands that you get equal parts night and day. And that next day, whatever that day is you're going, when you have more sunlight, that about a minute or two, you going into your new year. So that's common sense. That's real easy to understand. The problem, the conflict is, what day is it? You're going to choose a government count. You're going to choose a government time and date stamp, which is your Naval Observatory time. You're going to choose a government time frame, or you're going to look at the true issue. You were wrong on the days. That's the issue. You were wrong. This is okay. Like I said, it's okay to be wrong. Nobody's going to be like, I'm not going to watch your videos no more. Like I said, I see a conflict, so I have to address it. If it's going to, if I can see it, you should be just humble enough to say, yeah, you were right. That may not happen, but eventually it will. And I'm sure in little meetings, they do see what's going on. But a lot of the brothers that's following them won't speak up. They see it. I know a brother right now that see it, but he may not speak up. But it's okay though, because it's going to speak up by itself. Because what's going to happen is you're going to find out that next year you're going to keep switching your days, and you're going to find out that one day is going to be one of them Sabbaths in March is not going to be equal parts day and night. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. Watch. Believe that. That's what's going to happen. Now, this is what I teach, right? Timeanddate.com. That's debunked. But I'm just going to go here real quick. Now, this is what I've said, and this is what he said to 2013, and that's what I went by because it was correct. 548 next day, you got one more minute of daylight, which is that Sunday. Now, this is another thing that was asked. Can you show me how you came up with the 5-year thing? Because Enoch said that you have to add 5 years, because he knew that we were going to be following the moon calendar. All right, now, the way you do it is, in some days, and I know this can be can be confusing. Some months you can't add on the actual year. Some months you have to add on the actual year. But in 2013, those years in between 2014 and 2018 is going to be off. Those are 5 years apart. They're going to be off. So you go to 2019. That year would be right. So I'll show you what I'm saying. All right, 2013. That's the Sabbath. March the 16th Sabbath. First day of the year is Sunday, which is 2013. Okay, so you go 5 years, adding 5 years. It's not a coincidence that it falls on the 17th again. And this will not happen to any other day. 5 years later, which you will have to start your adding on the 19th. 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. Those years are going to be off from adding from the 5. Or you can, that's just the way it's going to, that's the way it do it sometimes. Not sure why, but it's not a coincidence that 2024 is the 17th, which is about, like I said, about 5 years later. And then you just, you go from 2025 to 2030. That's 5 years. It's the 17th. You notice I calculated the month. Like I got all the calendars. Hey, you can't make this up. And then if you go, and then it jumps 10 years. Why? I don't know. It'll jump 10 years, and then from those 5 years in between, from 2030 to 2039. 2030 to 2040. Those years will be all, but 2041 is the 17th. And it goes on and on. And what really got my attention was, this don't have really too much to do with this video, but it said something about the cicadas every 17 years. They come out of the ground. It don't seem like it's a coincidence. Like I said, I don't know exactly what that has to do with. Like when 2013, the cicadas came, but it wasn't really a 17-year thing. But they say every 17 years. Now the thing about that is, if you add, and I'm just putting this out here real quick, 2013 plus 17, you get 2030. 2030 2030 17th. If you do that again, if you add plus 17, again 2030 plus 17, you get 2047. You get 2047. And I have it written 2047. The ones with the check marks is a year. 17th. First day of the year. Just like 2013. So every 17 years, let me tell you something. I've calculated all the way to, for some reason, after you go in, from in increments of 5 years, like from 2013 to 2030, after those increments of 5 years in between, it would jump 10 years. Why? I have no clue. Like I said, I just wanted to show you that I'm constantly calculating certain things. I know for a fact, from this day forward, and I always will know, no matter how much people will disagree, I know for a fact that this is a hijack. There's no way in the world that that's the right day, that's the right Sabbath day. Now I can say if it was the Sabbath was the 14th. Nah, but you're going into the 15th day. But like I said, if people have an issue, it don't matter. It's just cool. Like I said, we're still learning. But I know for a fact that if you start your February 28th, excuse me, well, matter of fact, February 28th is a Friday. That's what they got it here as the 28th. But your month is 2 days short. Your month is 2 days short. So you need to understand that you're going to start your March 2 days too early, at least 1 day too early. But it's cool because, like, again, this is a moon calendar, so it jumps here and there. That's why Enoch said add 5 years. It's not a coincidence that year, you see the 17th every 5 years. Now, sometimes, like I said, you're going to have to add your 5 on the day, on the right year that's correct. In some years, you may have to add on the off years that's incorrect. You start like, let's say from 2013. Give me a minute here. 2019. You're gonna well, let me just say this: 2024. You're gonna have to start your 5-year adding from 2025, because those 5 years in between is gonna be off. So that's just the way it is. And like I said, I'm not getting into too much on how this is set up, because I'm still doing research on, the 5-year adding issue. But if this, you can't, I mean, there's no way that you can say that this is something that I made up, and it's not a coincidence that it is. I mean, then you go 2019, those 5 years in between from 2014 to 2018 is off, but 2019 is on. You go another 5 years. It's not a coincidence. You go another 5 years. Come on, man. It's not a coincidence. I mean, I can keep going another 5 years. Well, this is 10 years more than the 11th year, 2041. It's not a coincidence. I'm just saying it's a system. It's continuous. So, like I said, I just wanted to get into it again, to make sure people understand that, like I said, I'm not fighting anyone, but I just know if you're gonna choose the 15th, Saturday the 15th, as equal parts night and day from the 14th, right? You're gonna have to stick with that every year, no matter where that day falls on, that 14th day falls on, or that 15th day falls on. That's the issue that I'm having with people. They're trying to see. This is the thing. You won't be able to get it correct if you try to correspond Enoch's calendar to the Gregorian calendar. What you have to do is correspond the Gregorian calendar to fit Enoch's calendar. That's the only way you're going to get your holy days correct. This is what I mean. You're going to have to do it this way. You're going to have to do it this way. And as you see, this is the 2013 calendar. You start your year. This is last year, 2013, right? You notice it lines up correct with the Enoch calendar. 7, 14, 23, 28. You're going to have 4 Sabbaths in a year. But when it gets a little funny if you keep that course going on. Remember, this is corresponding the wicked moon calendar to the Enoch calendar. You're going to keep, if you keep that 30, 30, 31 from the first day of the year, even if it's the 16th, even whatever day you start, I don't care if you start, if you want to start it on your 15th, fine. I guarantee you, if you started on the 15th, you won't be able to correspond throughout the year because they got their 31 days off, 30 days here, 31 days more. They got more than they got. I mean, I think this year has 6 days with 31 days in it. 6 months, excuse me, with 31 days in it, to try to compensate the 2 days that they took out of February. So how can you start? How can you use this? It's not going to make sense. You're going to throw yourself off. So what you got to do is you got to correspond the Gregorian calendar to the Enoch calendar. That's the only way you can be able to do it. Because as you see here, you got 30 days here. So your next month, April 16th, April 17th, and like I said, this is 2013 calendar. But the reason why it's not going to keep constantly corresponding because they start their their days off. And that's the way it's going to go. See, their Saturday is the 12th, and let me tell you what, with the 27th. Eventually, it do correspond, though. But if you just keep this 30, 30, 31, you're going to run into this is month 3 for last year. So you got 31 days. You're going into your next month. That's how you got to do it. You can't it's not going to work if you try to use the Enoch calendar to correspond with the Gregorian. And I'm surprised because that's how can you do that? That's not. But like I said, I'm a little guy. You know what I'm saying? And it's okay. You know, they'll find out eventually because, like I said before, that government U.S. Naval Observatory calendar, whatever they're using, trying to put in the coordinates and all that put in your coordinates, but I guarantee you one thing. One thing for sure, 2 things for certain. You're going to be off next year. Watch. You're going to be off next year because you're going to be trying to correspond it again. It's going to be 1 year. It's going to be okay because you got, like I said, 2 months from now, 2 years from now, your Sabbath may be the 12th or the 13th. So if you're going to choose the 15th, you got to stick with the 15th. Even if it lands on a Monday, even if it lands on a Tuesday, it's still the 15th day of their Gregorian. That's all I'm saying. It's going to be our last day of their Gregorian. And our first day will be that 16th, if you're going to use that. Because I would like to ask this, and I think I said this in this video already. What was the government, and you notice I'm using government, U.S. Naval Observatory time for 2013. There you have it. Shalom.